everybody. So today we are talking about how to proof your business from inflation. And everybody is talking about inflation right now and how that has affected their business and just all the problems that businesses are facing, small businesses are facing today. And so I just wanted to give you first a little bit of background on, just what happened. So from 2010 until 2020, until the pandemic hit, we had a really low inflation rate, low growth. The economy was doing really well. And then when COVID happened, in 2021, we saw inflation levels that we hadn't seen since, the late 70s or early 80s. There were supply chain disruptions, prices just of everything went through the roof just because we weren't able to get the goods and services that we were used to. So the supply chain obviously made prices go up. When we saw the goods prices go up, that then trickles down to the services inflation, which then, trickled down into labor as well. Labor shortages, which caused labor prices to go up. People wanted more money to work, and so there was such a shortage. People, were having to pay to get good labor and to get people to work, and we're still seeing that problem right now. If you ask most small businesses what their problems are, it's the cost of their goods that they're getting. Their cost of goods sold has increased, especially if you are in the transportation, food service industries. You've seen your cost of goods just go crazy. And then labor is probably one of the biggest complaints too that we hear from small businesses, the cost of labor. And when I was doing some research on the Department of Labor's I was doing some research on what they showed as the biggest increases. So their last report came out in May, and the 12-month percent change, the biggest increases were for, ironically, vehicle insurance went up 20%, hospital medical services went up 7%, motor vehicle maintenance and repair went up 7%, electricity 6%, beef 5%, shelter 5%, and then any other energy sources went up 5%. So those were the biggest from this time last year, from May of last year. And then also, they were reporting that the top 10 items that's jumped in price since the pandemic and really hasn't went down. So since 21, the top 10 things that went up were, most of them were food items, which, no surprise there. Margarine, frozen fruit and drinks, like oil, any kind of oils. So that would be fuel plus your like grease, those oils that a lot of the restaurants use, vehicle insurance, eggs, crackers and cracker products, leased cars and trucks. Those are some of the biggest things that have increased since the pandemic. And so we all know we have a problem. So what we wanted to talk to you today is about how we could mitigate the problem and get through this inflation crisis that we're in right now. It is starting to come down a little bit, but it's not at the rate that we need it to come down. So some of the things that we wanted to talk about are just some things that you can do in your business to help with the inflation. And one of the things would be to look at your supply chains and maybe strengthen and diversify your supply chains. So hopefully you are building strong relationships with your current suppliers and that they would give you preference if there is another disruption, or if you're still having problems getting certain items, that they would give you preferential treatment. So just make sure you're building strong relationships with your suppliers. Make sure even that you're checking other suppliers and seeing where you can get the best price. Sometimes, you have to weigh the cost with, if you have a supplier that's always got you your goods when you need them and you don't have to worry about it, but maybe they're a little bit more expensive than someone that isn't reliable, you might want to stick with your regular supplier that you know you're going to get your stuff that you need. So there's just those things that you need to kind of weigh, but building strong relationship with suppliers is key. The other thing that I would do is strengthen your pricing power and streamline your product offerings. So if you provide essential products and services that people are going to need, you're going to get through an economy that's high in inflation because you have a stronger pricing power, because everybody's going to still need what you have. So try to find things that people are going to need no matter if we're in a recession or if we are in high inflation or not. People are still going to need your goods and services. And just understand how demand changes with price adjustments to make, informed decisions. And then look at your goods and service that you're offering and remove any of those products that aren't performing well, and really amp up those services and products that you're seeing a good return, a good profit margin on. So kind of really look at your goods and services and do a deep dive into what your profit margins are, and really push the ones that you have a great profit margin on and eliminating ones that you don't. And there's no sense in having inventory and paying for goods if they're not performing well. So I would get rid of things that aren't performing well and really push the items that are. And then, just always looking at your business plan and just reviewing that and making sure like your employees know your stakeholders, if you have stakeholders, that your partners, everybody knows what your business plan is, that you're constantly reviewing it, and share with them what your plans are, if you're eliminating things or if you're really wanting to push other items. Just keep everybody informed of the reasons, and so that everybody's on the same page and that your whole team is looking to push certain items and fall back on other ones. And just, it seems pretty simple to say, but eliminate any unnecessary costs. That's just really go into your expenses and identify and eliminate costs that don't add value. So some of you have, if you're in the food industry and you do takeout, or if you are selling, goods and services, or some goods that the packaging, you want a certain level of packaging, maybe you need to come down on packaging costs and do something at a little less quality. It depends on your brand and what your brand is, and that whatever you're trying to convey to your consumer. If you're a top level brand, then maybe it makes sense to keep your packaging at that level, because people expect if you have a high cost item that they're going to get packaging that reflects that. But if it's takeout and you're in the food industry, and I get rid of some of the packaging, like the expensive packaging that you're using, and get discounts on. You can get discounted items. I would really price out things that that you really can, it doesn't matter. Eliminate costs that don't add any value to your, whatever it is you're selling. Just eliminate that altogether. Also, you can negotiate with suppliers, seek out discounts for pre-ordering or prepayments, like early payments. Will they give you a discount if you pay, at the time instead of 30 days? Or if you buy in bulk, will they give you a discount if you, things that that you're going to need that won't go bad, and you can purchase them in bulk, see if you can get a discount on that. And just cancel any unnecessary services. Evaluate your subscriptions and services for any potential savings. Just look at that constantly. Another thing you can do is try to improve cash flow. Cash is king. So cash flow is a big problem for small businesses, and so just we're doing a webinar or workshop now on cash flow management, and so check that out. But cash flow is a big problem with small businesses, so you can maybe look at, a lot of people are afraid to maybe increase prices, but you need to make sure you're increasing prices at the same rate as inflation. If you can't do that because you might price yourself out of competitiveness, so a lot of people are afraid to do that. There are some things you can do still. I would, even if it's just a small percentage that you increase, I would still look at doing that. And ways to improve cash flow, we had a client that we had them start billing every 15 days instead of every month, just for cash flow purposes, because they were waiting to bill once a month. They would send out billing at the end of the month, so all of their money came in usually around the same time, and it was a cash flow problem for them. So we just had them start billing every 15 days, and that helped solve their cash flow problem. So just little things that you can look at that might help with cash flow, with getting more money into your business when you need it. Even have sales events, use promotions to encourage purchasing items before, if something's going to go high. If you're in the food industry and next month your suppliers are like, hey, we're having a problem getting lettuce this week, or whatever, whatever it is, it's going to go high, then try to do some kind of sale on things that you can do, just to maximize what you can on promotions. Also, get rid of do promotions on things that are going to go bad, or things that aren't selling well, just to get rid of it and get it out of inventory, and just look at your products and services and see if it's something that you even want to sell again. But just, promotions are a good way to get rid of extra inventory if you need to. Another thing you could do is stockpile inventory if you have the cash to do so. A lot of people right now are having problems with cash flow, but if you do have the cash to stockpile inventory on something that is going to go up in the future, and it's not going to go bad. It's hard to do that if you are in the food industry and food, you can't stockpile food, it's going to go bad. But if it's items, if you're making candles or whatever it is, and the price of wax is going to go up, and you can get a discount if you buy in bulk, and I would do that. And if you can stockpile it, try to do that. As long as you don't have incurred, storage costs and stuff like that. Just look at those things too. Try to reduce labor costs also. That's the biggest cost that small businesses have right now, is the labor costs. And you can look for ways to try to reduce labor costs. I would embrace technology, use any software and apps that you can do to track and improve your productivity. I would automate anything that you can automate, whether it's your ordering software, whatever it is. Automate your accounting software, whatever it is. Automate as much as you can, and outsource where you can, where it makes sense. Sometimes it makes sense to outsource rather than to hire an employee. When you hire an employee, a lot of times you have the added cost of employee taxes, your employer portion of your taxes. You have added costs of maybe healthcare or retirement. And then just the legalities of hiring an employee, all of that you have. Sometimes it makes more sense, and it's cheaper just to outsource some of the things that you can outsource. And then, do smart hiring. Hire employees who offer the best value in terms of productivity. Just don't be afraid to get rid of people who aren't performing, and do some smart hiring and outsource where you can. And then the other last thing you can do is just consider, it would be a last resort because we never want anyone to go into debt, but consider, lines of credit to get you through those months where cash flow might be a little low until we get through this high inflation time in our small business. But, consider doing a line of credit or getting a loan to pay off, if you have your credit cards maxed, consider getting a loan to pay off those credit cards. Even though interest rates are high, they're not higher than, I guarantee, than your credit card interest rates that you're paying right now if you are not paying your credit cards off every month. So that might be a last resort, but another thing that you can do to really save you in the long run on some of those fees and cash flow problems. And that about sums up our thoughts on how you can effectively work through this high inflation time in your small business. And if you have any questions, you can send us an email at bebopteam.com. Send us an email at gmail.com, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And thank you for joining us today.